Hello, everyone. My name is Gary Maloney here for Sactown Slam, and this edition is going to hopefully make up for the lack of content I have had over the week. And it has been a busy week for me, so forgive me on that one. We are going to start off with my opinions on Raw and SmackDown. I'm not going to go over every single match because it seems like every time I do that, I never get a video done without being disturbed. So I'm just going to hit my highlighted points. Biggest point on Raw, I would say would be what Dean Ambrose did with the Intercontinental title, getting in 2 jabs on Brock Lesnar, which was incredible when he came out and said, seeing as everybody wants to fight for a Universal title shot, and Brock Lesnar's not here, and I have obviously the only title on Raw that is basically the main prize. And it legitimized the Intercontinental title, and it really made Brock look very bad for apparently not defending this thing until Great Balls of Fire, which I do not want to say multiple times because I don't think anyone wants to think of the word balls when they're talking about pro wrestling. I don't know what snafu happened there, I'll tell you that much. Um, uh, I'll be honest, Dean Ambrose has been called lazy and this and that. He's not lazy. And I don't think he ever wanted to play a psychotic. The fact of the matter is he's very comfortable in his snarky, jokey kind of situation. I did like him when he was a little bit more intense in the Shield, and maybe he should up the intensity, but he was never psychotic, which I think people are. There's a difference between the two. But this past Monday, he really came out there and told both Finn Balor and Seth Rollins, hey, if you want me, I'm here. Lesnar's not here. And you can talk about the Universal title all you want. But until, he decides to grace us with an appearance, I have the top prize on Monday Night Raw. I mean, the fact of the matter is there's absolutely nothing incorrect about that statement. I mean, there is a huge case to be made there, and Brock just, I think there's some bad blood between Dean and Brock from last year's WrestleMania. I personally think the two don't like each other. And, while Brock sits there and touts, hard work and everything, Dean's a guy, he works every night. And, you'll hear that from fans and wrestlers alike. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense. As far as SmackDown, there was a U.S. title match between Jericho and, of course, Kevin Owens. This was, I think, Jericho's write-off because he got the crap beat out of him after the match, and AJ Styles was banned from ringside, and because he had come out and beat up Kevin Owens earlier. Jericho got the crap beat out of him, and then basically he had to be helped from ringside to the back, and essentially, that's how they're gonna write him off. Backlash's card though is looking really good. I mean, if you have Shinsuke versus Ziggler, You have AJ versus Kevin Owens, and you know, if Jinder is as good as Jinder says he is, he should be able to put on a decent match. I think this is a good example of giving a guy the ball and letting him run with it for a little bit. I doubt very seriously that they're going to let him win the title, given that Sammy, Kevin Owens, and freaking AJ Styles are there. And to be fair to AJ Styles, I understand Kevin Owens being a mid card title guy. He definitely, at this point in his career, seems that way. But AJ Styles is not. But one thing AJ Styles is known for is winning multiple titles in the same company. That's always been one of the things he just does. Just look at his track record with New Japan. So, this is going to be an interesting backlash. Um, Dolph Ziggler and Shinsuke Nakamura have been working dark matches with each other after SmackDowns are over with because they want to learn each other's styles. They want to put on the best show they can put on because they're going to be in front of a ravenous fucking Chicago crowd, which is known for hijacking shows. So you better believe those guys want to put on a good show, and it's a SmackDown, so they're almost going to expect it. So especially after the shithole, which was Payback, I mean, it wasn't a bad pay-per-view. The only thing that was a shithole was the House of Horrors. But to be fair, the rest of that pay-per-view wasn't horrible. But Backlash's card compared to Payback's card is looking a lot preferable, which is why I think SmackDown is so much better. They just know how to flare it up. Um, I think that one of the things that does bother me about SmackDown, though, this whole welcoming committee thing. Here's the thing. The name sucks. I mean, if I were Tamina, I'd be like, can't we just call ourselves Team Bad again? But unfortunately, that just isn't going to work. But another problem here that you have is that eventually one of those women are going to end up with the title, and then what? Because even if you do the rumored 3-on-3 between the welcoming committee and then Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and oh jeez, Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and her name slips my mind at the moment. But oh yeah, and of course, the champion. But yeah, it just I think that Naomi, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch against the welcoming committee, it's an okay match and everything, but that sounds more like a SmackDown match. I am very against not defending titles. Very against that. And that's why I was so okay with Dean Ambrose disrespecting Brock in his promo, because he deserved it. And, it's like Brock doesn't defend his title for 90 days, but they're going to strip Naomi because she can't defend it for 30. I mean, it just bullshit. I really have to call bullshit there. I mean, what kind of preferable male fucking standards are you putting these people through? It's like, fuck you. Anyway, moving on. The next thing is about Asuka, and this is from the Inquisitor, and it's the WWE News. Possible creative plans to break Asuka's undefeated streak revealed. This is from Will McCormick and was posted on May 4th, 2017. For over a year and a half, the Empress of Tomorrow has remained undefeated in NXT and has become the longest reigning NXT champion in the brand's history. She's held the NXT Women's Championship for over a year, but the Empress powers that be may have finally figured out who will be the one to finally give Asuka her first loss and take the title away from her. Rumor has it that those creative plans could happen over the summer. In a few weeks, Asuka will defend the women's title at NXT TakeOver Chicago against Nikki Cross, Ruby Riott, Ruby Riott, and Amber Moon. WWE officials could pull a major swerve and have her drop the NXT Women's title during the match, but the powers that be are likely saving that moment for TakeOver Brooklyn 3 in a few more months. WWE officials will at least want to wait until Asuka breaks Goldberg's undefeated record. Why? Why the fuck does that matter? What, you want to have a chick beat Goldberg's record because why? It's a fake record. And I don't know how to implore this more. Fake record. Sports entertainment. It's not a real sport. So Goldberg's record, no offense to Goldberg, but does not mean shit. I mean, Goldberg created it and made it look real, as Asuka has done, but the fact that WWE just wants to rub that in Goldberg's face is bullshit. Anyway, continuing on, Asuka's move to the main roster is only a matter of time, but she will likely drop the championship and put over someone new in NXT before leaving. There is some speculation that Asuka may vacate the title without being defeated and continue her undefeated streak on either Raw or SmackDown. God willing, it's SmackDown because they need the damn talent. Raw don't need it. However, it seems that WWE officials could have a specific plan for Asuka's undefeated streak to come to an end this summer. Ever since Ember Moon debuted in NXT, the WWE Universe has been speculating with certainty that she'd be the one to defeat Asuka and take the NXT Women's title from her. At NXT Orlando, fans were rather shocked to see her fail to capture the title. Instead, her match was used to push forward a long overdue heel turn for Asuka. However, NXT fans still believe that Ember Moon will be the one to defeat Asuka soon. The biggest reason is Moon has good momentum as the foil to Asuka, and she seems to be the only wrestler in the NXT Women's division that could believably beat her. Nikki Cross, Ruby Riott, and others just do not have the momentum for that win, but the WWE officials may not be planning for anyone in NXT to beat Asuka. Recently, WWE officials announced that there would be a massive women's tournament over the summer. The tournament will feature 32 of the top female competitors from around the world. The series will air on the WWE Network just as the Cruiserweight Classic did last year. They did last year, likely did last year, excuse me, WWE officials are expected to sign several new female talents, which will tie directly into their plans for Asuka's final loss, or first loss, excuse me. It has been rumored that WWE officials are planning for the eventual winner of the women's tournament to receive an NXT women's title shot with Asuka at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn this year. Late last year, TJ Perkins was crowned the Cruiserweight champion after winning the Cruiserweight Classic. Tyler Bate became the United Kingdom champion after winning the UK tournament. This could be the plan for the female winner. I'm okay with that. Because you got to have some kind of incentive to win a fucking tournament. This is not King of the Ring. So, if you're going to sign all these female or talents and want to keep some of them, you have to have incentive. I don't think you're going to want to hand them a SmackDown or a Rollins title shot right off the bat. But NXT sounds perfect. Replenish your women's division. Your division. Because it is going to need replenishing with good talent. You do not, admittedly, there's maybe 2 to 3 names that I really care about. And I'm not real hot on Billie Kay and Peyton Royce on a personal level, just because they haven't really shown that much talent in the ring, at least in my opinion. They're okay, but they're very repetitious in their move set, and they don't take too many chances. Whereas someone like Nikki Cross, who's a bit more dangerous, does take chances, but she needs to learn when to not take chances. So you've got a lot of people who are unexperienced in good wrestling right now, who are really running roughshod through that division. Ember Moon is probably the greatest prospect you have outside of Asuka. Ember Moon is a fucking beast, and, no pun intended there. But, yeah, I could see Ember Moon on Raw or SmackDown like that. If you put her on Raw tomorrow, I would be none the wiser, because she is a fucking beast. Anyway, to get to the end of this, WWE officials would need to be sure, because this is a tremendous push to give a debuting female superstar, especially a female taking over the NXT women's division overnight. Agreed. Asuka has dominated the NXT for almost 2 years. A new female coming into the WWE, winning the tournament and defeating Asuka is a massive push for anyone to receive. Unfortunately, the 32 participants for the tournament have not been announced or revealed as of this writing, but WWE fans should be aware of the tournament because it could change a lot. This is a pretty big thing. I think that you do need to at least make it for an NXT title shot. You do not need to necessarily make it so that said person defeats Asuka. You could have Asuka simply vacate the title and say, everyone here sucks, so I want competition. And then just fucking leave. and go to Raw or SmackDown. Um, I'm not sure how this is going to play out. I think the next 3 months are going to be very telling of what happens with Asuka's career. I think this women's tournament is a great thing, and I'm very excited for it. I was happy to hear about it last year when I heard it was possibly going to happen. Now that we know it's going to happen and they're starting to tape it now, it's a great thing. I think women's wrestling is just as respectable as men's wrestling. It can be almost more entertaining because they're more agile in the ring. And it is definitely exciting to see that women are getting the respect that they were getting about 20 years ago before the ruthless aggression era screwed that up with the whole diva thing. Speaking of women and screwed up, there have been a lot of leaks of pictures as of late. The latest victim being Charlotte. And, Charlotte recently, over the last, I think, week or two, was demanding that these pictures be taken down. Good luck. Alexa Bliss claimed hers were fake. I'm not sure that they were. And then you had Paige, who was the first, domino to fall. I don't know who's doing this. Obviously, nobody really knows who's behind all this. It could be 3 different perpetrators. It could be the same perpetrator going after the women's division. It could be a lot of different things. But this is obviously this isn't happening to the men. So it's not some guy who's pissed off at everyone. It's some, guy who's got to get his fucking jollies by getting the women and their pictures that they have on their phones and invading people's privacy, which is, it's fucked up. But uh, I've said it once and I'll say it again. Be careful what you leave on your phones. Be careful what you text on your phones. Be careful what you talk on your phone. Because, this stuff is all gets saved to the cloud. And I know this is me going on a slight, rant that sounds like I'm psychotic. But the fact of the matter is that anything can be accessed through the cloud by a computer if you're smart enough to hack people. Or if these people were trying to just go to certain people's phones while they were wrestling, save it to an SD card, and be done with it. That could have happened that way. I mean, there are a ton of different ways to steal people's files and just screw up people's lives. And the only thing I really have to say to that is that to whoever is doing it, screw you. And, you will burn eventually because you're going to get caught, just like the Russians who are going to get caught for all the shit that they did with Donald Trump. So the fact of the matter is that, hacking can be traced back. It just takes, a smart enough person to follow the zeros and the ones to trace it back to your ass. Now, another important event has happened with Matt Hardy and the broken gimmick, which unfortunately did not has not gone too well for them. My phone is not wanting to work. Here we go. Now, Matt Hardy says Broken Rights Battle shows Impact Wrestling does not care about the fans. You can say that again. Now, this is from Cage Side Seats. I do not see, and it's by Sean Reuter, and it was from May 7th and was posted at 7:30 p.m. Now, rumors say the rights battle between the Hardys and Anthem Entertainment owned Impact Wrestling over the broken gimmick and characters may be close to a resolution, but you wouldn't be able to tell from social media. Matt's wife, Rebby, has been tweeting about the former TNA and what her family believes is their intellectual property quite a bit this weekend, and even was on the receiving end of a since deleted subtweet from Karen Jarrett. 2 days ago, she said that she might bring back the Fuck That Al shirt based on something that happened on Friday. Earlier today, May 7th, her husband responded to a message from someone who stated that fans were losing out in the war between Impact and the Hardys with this. And this was sent out by the Vessel of Matt Hardy. Shows they do not care about the fans. At Ed Nordholm wants to keep my creation, the broken universe, hostage from the fans who wish to see it. The fans' desire to see these characters is evident in the way every broken reference from Matt, either on social media or on Raw, is shared online. While it's hard to tell if this decision or any number of past controversial ones is plaguing Impact ratings, which I guarantee it is, they don't seem to be winning in the court of public opinion. Time will tell if they win anywhere else. This is bullcrap. I mean, the fact of the matter is that you're trying to trademark something that that apparently Rebby Hardy trademarked just a couple of months ago at the patent office. So exactly how does Anthem own the rights to this if the patent came from Rebby Hardy? And if WWE has to throw their hat in the ring on this and they win this case and help the Hardys win this case, do they own the gimmick? What happens then? I mean, this seems like the biggest fucking no-win situation for Matt Hardy ever. Like, the WWE, first of all, paid good money to bring these guys back. They brought these guys back, I have a feeling, based on the assumption that they could get the rights to the broken gimmick. If they're not going to get those rights, then this now becomes a battle of stupidity, in my opinion, because they do not want the Hardys to use the gimmick that made the TNA so famous in WWE, because they were the biggest merchandise sellers in TNA. So heaven forbid they walk away from TNA when they get lowballed from TNA for their contracts, which is why they left in the first place, and they get this great offer from WWE. They jump ship to WWE, and now all of a sudden, no, we want to take your gimmick. I'm shocked they didn't freaking try to do this with AJ Styles and the Phenomenal One gimmick. I mean, and you want to know why they didn't do it? Because they didn't make them a ton of money. The broken gimmick made them money, so now they want to deny them the access to the broken gimmick. This is the biggest bunch of horse shit that I have ever heard. And I feel like there's nothing more really to be said about it other than, TNA's not making any friends here. They've lost AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode, Mickey James, and just a ton of people over, and Kurt Angle. Sting. They've lost so many people over the last few years, and now they've lost the Hardys, and they want to sit there and tell the Hardys, "Oh, you can't be what made you super popular." Fuck you. You know that is what I would be telling their lawyers, especially if my wife had patented it. If my wife had patented something, or you patent anything at all, it is your intellectual property. You beat Anthem to the punch, and now Anthem is mad because you did it. You know what? That's Anthem's problem. You didn't see WWE suing the Ultimate Warrior or the Macho Man for using their gimmicks. You want to know why? Because back during the real era of wrestling, when these guys jumped ship, I mean, Razor Ramon and Diesel had to change their names, but outside of that, they didn't change their attitudes. At least not much. I mean, you still even saw Scott Hall flicking the freaking toothpick. But, I mean, and even AJ Styles, when he came in with Gallows and Anderson, they were the club. They still are the club. But so, it's like, if you come from TNA, we're just going to butt fuck you? No. No. That is just the most ridiculous and stupid thing I've ever heard. And this will probably lose TNA a lot of battles, because you cannot win over wrestlers by not giving them their gimmicks. I'd have almost rather seen TJ Perkins walk in as Suicide. But, oh, gee, we can't let him do that because that's not his gimmick. Shut up. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the truth. But the fact is that what's going on with the Hardys is just, it's gone on too long. I mean, we want to see the broken gimmick. We want to see it now. If you're not going to give it to us, it's time for these guys the nostalgia act to go on the back burner for a while. I mean, headed towards Brooklyn, it's time for Enzo and Cass to get their rightful title shots, because they had a job yet again last week on Raw. I mean, who knows what's going to happen to them tomorrow night? I mean, this is ridiculous. I think that it's time for a change in what we see. And company politics should not be the end-all be-all of your success in wrestling. Never. I think your success in wrestling should be based on your abilities on the mic and your abilities in the ring. And if you are smart enough to come up with a creative idea that sticks and that makes people into your character and happy, like, you know how many people were fucking chanting delete and obsolete at WrestleMania? I mean, 75,000, I think, was an inflated number, but it was at least 60,000 people. I mean, come on. I mean, either WWE is going to take this by hook or by crook. So Anthem is just trying to buy time because they think for some reason they're the next WWE. I got news for you. Even the worst episode of Raw is better than the best episode of Impact, you stupid fox. And I do deliberately mean that. Some of these more boring 3-hour Raws are even better than the best 2-hour Impacts. I mean, when you've got Aaron Rex going around in assless chaps, I don't think you're pleasing the fans that much. I just, ugh. Anyway, for this week, I do want to end going back to the women's tournament. I'm excited for that. I mean, I think that the cruiserweight thing was a great way to open a new division to a lower weight class. I think this women's tournament, I mean, right now we're at a solid probably 16 women, plus those that are in NXT, which I would say overall we've got probably 21. With 32 more women, unless others from NXT will be in that tournament. I don't know what's going to happen with that, so I'd say stay tuned. But at this point in time, I'd say you could easily see another 8 or 9 women walk into NXT. Easily. Because you know they're going to be coming from New Japan and Ring of Honor and people who just want to walk away from Fuck That Owl, and you know, and then you've got the people that your indie darlings. I mean, look at what happened to Cedric Alexander. There's gonna be a Cedric Alexander out there somewhere. And then you're gonna have your funny ha-ha people. I mean, hopefully this leads to a show for just the women. I mean, Triple H has as a wrestler, he was very small-minded. It was all about him. But as a business owner, he is a very expansive, intelligent, and very corporate-like minded type of person. He knows how to expand. And I think that these next 1 or 2 generations of WWE watchers are going to get a very good product because of it. So whether or not they dethrone Asuka, we'll see. I think that Asuka personally should stay undefeated until one of 2 things happen. A, she goes to Raw and is dethroned by Bayley. Has to be Bayley. Why? Because the 2 times Bayley fought her, they were both good matches. They were against the tough Bayley. And, you know, they would have to let tough Bayley come back. And, you know, Asuka won both of those matches. Then, if it's not on Raw and it's on SmackDown, it has to be against Charlotte. Because to my recollection, Charlotte has never fought Asuka. And the Queen versus the Empress, that sounds WrestleMania worthy, in my opinion. That's where you have to go with those two. So if you send her to Raw, it's got to be Bayley. If you send her to SmackDown, it's got to be Charlotte. I mean, I don't see anyone in either of those divisions. Mine is maybe a rematch with Nia Jax, which could easily be done at something like Royal Rumble, because I think that if she goes to Raw, she may have more grudges to settle. But I think on SmackDown, it's gonna be she's not gonna have as much competition because nobody's gonna believe that Carmella can beat Asuka. Nobody's gonna believe that half that division can beat Asuka. Mickey James, yes, that's another match I'd love to see. Is Mickey James and Asuka because they're both really good with the kicks. But the fact of the matter is that Asuka moving up is a good thing. This women's tournament is a good thing, and the business is going to thrive for it. What's not going to help the business thrive is people like Anthem just trying to steal people's gimmicks out from under them, and people who want to be internet hoodlums and post nudies of women from from whomever they desire. And as I said, somebody's going to eventually follow all the zeros and ones and catch whoever keeps leaking these photos. Whether it's one person, whether it's a dozen people, it doesn't matter. But I'm going in circles here. So for Sactown Slam, this is Gary Maloney. And how you doing?